Okay, hey everybody. I'm back here with another Let's Expose Another Cult member that's hiding in plain sight. So, this person, it is my brother's girlfriend. And I had a dream about this. Well, I don't remember how long ago it was. This was right before somebody bought my mom's old house, right? And we had to move. So, me and my younger brother, we came here to stay with my brother. And then, my mom went her way or whatever. So, in this dream, it was some type of like ordinance at night, and nobody can be outside unless you like, and if you was caught outside you was gonna get arrested. But we lived in that same house. And then so in that dream, my nephew, he comes running through the door. He said, whew, TT, whew, I barely made it. He's like, they were out there. He's like, it was three animals he named. I can't remember the three verbatim, but one was a canary. I do remember the canary. And I was like, what? And I like asked him again, and he repeated the same animal, said they was chasing him. And I was like, well, okay, glad you're in the house. So like we're locking up the doors, and then in this dream still, my brother, whose house I live here with now, he like opens up the back door and he started going outside. I'm like, bro, what is you doing? We're not supposed to be outside. He's like, it's something out here. It's calling out to me. I gotta get it. I have to help it. It's hurt. Excuse me. I get a lot of spiritual confirmation burps. This happened like a few months ago, and they just get louder and louder. So I just try to get it away. So excuse me if you just keep seeing me do that. Because spirits like clock that tea. Clock it. But anyways, my brother goes outside in his dream, and he was like, if you remember like any of my old videos, like I posted like it was like a garage in the backyard. You may remember, you may not. But on the side of the garage, there was like some trees and some grass. And so that's where my brother was going in his dream. So he went, and when he was going, it was something blue. It was like a blue shiny ball, but it like fell out the sky. Because I don't remember how, but he went to go get the garage. Go to the other side of the garage to go get it. So I grabbed the kitchen broom that was right there. It was like a red and black broom. I grabbed that, and I was like, okay, I got your back. Like, go save it. We thought it was an animal because he heard it crying. And so I'm just like, I don't know what it is. And then so as he went to go get it, but as he picked it up, this big, big, big werewolf, like huge red eyes, it starts staring, like standing on top of the garage. And it was just growling at my brother like this. And just looking at him like it wanted to eat him. But my brother wasn't paying it no attention because I saw it. And so he's still over there catering to whatever he had. And then he had this white and then red scarf or linen. Looks like silk linen. And he took it and he wrapped the blue thing up in it. But then when he picked it up, it was a white rabbit. But I know what this means now, but in like that time I didn't. But it was a white rabbit. And he was holding it close to him like he was just loving it. And I'm like, okay, Josh, hurry, hurry. I'm like, it's something on the roof. But as I'm looking at the werewolf on the roof, the werewolf sees me. It don't give a damn about me. It's only looking at my brother. So then I'm like, what the heck? You trying to come for my brother? So I tell my brother, like, get behind me. And we're walking backwards. So that then the werewolf jumps off of the garage. And it's just coming at us like slowly. It ain't like trying to attack, but it's like trying to like use that intimidation. And then so I'm just like, my brother, he's still just, he ain't paying no attention to the werewolf, but I am, because I'm like, the hell is this thing? But I'm just telling him like, just to keep going, hurry up, let's get back in the house. And then that was the end of that dream. And then my dream restarted over again. And I'm still the same sleep cycle. My nephew come running in the house like, TT, I just got chased by some animals. It was a something in a canary. Whew, I barely got away. And I'm just looking like, well, I'm glad you got in here safe. And I was like, wait a minute, that feels like deja vu. So in my head, I can't explain it. I know how to like remember stuff from my dream, like to put it in a certain spot to where I can bring it back, like when I wake up, so I can write it down so I don't forget. So I was like, let me remember those three animals, because why did he say that? Like those three animals must have like some type of spiritual meanings. And so I wrote the dream down or whatever. But anyways, the dream restarted and the same thing happened. And it's like the werewolf never comes out until my brother goes out there and picks up like this little blue shining thing. And then just here recently, I started talking about like my family, calling them out for stuff, like the little sneaky stuff like my brother's girlfriend's been doing. And then like just they do stuff and then they'll try to act like they're not, and then try to say like make it seem like you're crazy. But little do they know, I grew up with my dad's side of the family. They play these same mind games, and then that's when I pieced it together: Eastern stars and Freemasons. So before I get into like what the dream meant, a few months ago, I like to stare out the window, like especially like at night. If I'm not outside, I just stare out the window. I just love to stare at the sky. And so I do that almost every night, or whatever. So I'm staring at the window. My ancestors started talking to me, my grandma, and she just started chanting, "Freemasons ain't free no more. Freemasons ain't free no more. Freemasons ain't free no more." And I'm dancing like, okay. But I'm like, then I'm listening to the lyrics. I said, what does that even mean? Like, Freemasons ain't free no more. And she told me to go walk over there to go tell my brother and his girlfriend. And she said, watch their reaction. She's like, just say it. So I said, hey, I said, I don't know why. It's like a spirit just told me to say Freemasons ain't free no more. And then neither one of them budged. Neither one of them said nothing. So I'm just like, okay. They just kind of looked at me like this. And then they just went back to watching TV. So I'm just like, I left it at that. And like, but spirits just chanting this every day. And then like a few months ago, they told me to like go ahead and put it out, like just to let them know like they're finna get destroyed. Right. And at this time, when they were telling me about Freemasons, I had no idea about Eastern stars. I've been so innocent my whole life. I didn't have no idea people do like the root work, put blood in food, semen or cum. Like people do weird stuff. And this is what I'm getting to. So like she's explaining this to me and she's telling me that the girlfriend, China, she's into it. And I'm like, she's like, her family is. And I'm like, I don't see that. Like, she don't seem like that type of person. So then I'm just like, maybe, again, doubting myself because I'm like refusing to see the truth or whatever. Because like she was hiding in plain sight, just like the werewolf on top of the garage. And then Spirit was like, she keeps trying to do humiliation rituals on my nephew, but they don't go through because I always step in and I say something like, leave him alone or go pull my nephew out the situation. And she was like, and Spirit is telling me all of this stuff. She was like, she never liked him. She don't love him. And like, since she came in the picture, when she got with my brother, she's been trying to get my nephew out the picture. And I'm like, that still don't even make sense. Like, why would you get with somebody knowing they have a kid and then, just start. And I'm just like, but I'm listening. But I'm like, just it's stirring in my head because if you've seen her, you wouldn't think nothing of it. She's quiet, soft spoken, and all this other stuff. Right. Well, so you think. And then you really know her. She could turn up. Right. So anyways. Spirit's telling me all this stuff. And then so I'm just like, and then Spirit was like, that since the old house where my mom used to, where somebody just bought it, that, my brother and them, we all lived there at a point or whatever. So my brother and the girl, they was living there then. And Spirit was like, while they was at the old house, she's been throwing his clothes away, clothes, shoes, and like all this other stuff. So I'm just like, that can't be true. Because if that was going on that long, how come nobody ever said or did anything about it? So then I just asked my mom, and I talked to my nephew's mom, my best friend. So I'm like just talking to him, and I'm just like, hey, did the baby's clothes ever come up missing at the old house and all this other stuff? And they was like, yeah, China was throwing his stuff away. They'll find his shoes in a vent, and then after a while of them saying like they don't know where his stuff is at, my mom was like, you know what? And then like my mama get mad, and then magically appears a black plastic bag with all my nephew's stuff in it. Now keep that in mind. That happened at the old house. So now they moved here, own their house. The same stuff is happening. But I didn't know. I had no idea because I didn't live with them. I lived in a different state. So I had no idea, that any of this has been going on. So Spirit's telling me all of this stuff. And then so I'm just looking now. She said, now start paying attention now. And then so I'll start paying attention to little stuff. Like the little stuff I start catching on to. When her family will come over, they're mean to my nephew. The kids are mean to him. And then like I seen the one little girl come in and like move. This my TT house. And I ain't say nothing. I'm just peeping this, right? And then like anytime they'll leave, they'll take the kids, but they'll leave my nephew out for whatever reason. And then the one time I heard the little boy, her son, tell my nephew, you can't go with us. This my mama car. And then my nephew comes in the house crying. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? He was like, well, China and them said I can't go because it's their car. I said, Joshua, that's your dad's car. And I'm like, you know what? Don't even worry about it. I'm like, what do you want to do? Like, let's do something, like, just to try to lift his spirits. But now I'm seeing the bullying. But I didn't start stepping in until this one particular day. My nephew had on her son's underwear, the boxers. You know, boys wear boxers. So he didn't know that he had on her son's boxers. So the little boy goes, oh, I'm about to go get you in trouble. So my nephew, I heard it and I'm listening because I want to see how far this is going to play out, right? So I go in my room, but I leave my door open and I just stand there and I don't say nothing. And then I hear her, she calls my nephew in the room, like, Junior, come in. So he go in there. And then so I'm really listening because he starts shaking, like just shivering like this. And then already my blood's boiling because one, nobody should have that type of fear in them from nothing, especially no kid. So now I got some more questions, right? So I'm still peeping this. I'm letting it play out. But while I'm standing here in my doorway, I can hear her from across the hallway whispering to my nephew. She's like, I'm gonna fuck you up. You know motherfucking better to have on my fucking son shit. What the fuck wrong with you? I'm gonna beat your ass. So, and I'm like, I had to get a little closer to hear that. And then once I heard her say that to my nephew, I went and got my nephew out of there. I said, Josh, come on, come from up out of there. I said, ain't nobody gonna fucking touch you. And I slammed the door because I was so freaking mad. Like, how dare you? And then you're going to try to be sneaky and whisper it. That's what made me mad. But the reason for this video is the second reason that made me mad. My nephew got disciplined Monday night. And I know this for sure because Monday night is was the reason I called judgment. And when I called judgment for like the injustices in this house, I didn't know that this judgment was going to extend to my aunt. This was just sweet. It was just like a all for one, catch up everybody that got me messed up pretty much, right? So then my nephew's crying because he got in trouble. And then so I go make me a cup of coffee. And I go around in the kitchen. She's in there cracking up. Like, yep, Junior just got in trouble. And cracking up. And I'm just standing there behind her in disbelief. And then she happens to like look over her shoulder and she sees me standing there. Then she straightened up at the sink because she was just loading dishes in the dishwasher. I didn't say nothing. I made my coffee. I came back in my room and then I called judgment. And I'm like, this is never going to stop. And then another thing, they always steal his clothes. And I'm going to show you a video. I'm going to show you his closet. This boy has 3 pairs of boxers, 2 pairs of pants, and like a handful of shirts, right? This last summer, I did 2 big Shein hauls. I bought this boy wardrobe, so he should have had clothes for at least a month. So where did all his clothes go again? Because I said something to my brother earlier in the summertime. I'm like, Josh, how's come your son don't got clothes no more? He's like, I don't know. I said, like, you don't think nothing strange about this? Like, all of his stuff just keeps disappearing. Okay. So, like, anyways, so this one particular day, my nephew was finna go with his mom. And she usually come get some like early in the morning. So he was like, oh, he wanted to finish washing his clothes, but he was tired. So I said, kid, go ahead and go to sleep. I got you. I'm like, I'll put them in a dryer and I'll put your clothes basket right there by the dryer so that when you, it'll be right there. Get your clothes out. He's like, okay, thank you. Boom. I did what I said I was going to do. I stayed up all night just to make sure his clothes got washed. I put him in the dryer and then I was like, he could just go down there and get them in the morning. So then I come up here, I'm a night owl, so I be up all night anyways. And then like this day I slept until noon the next day. But my nephew came and got me that next morning after I put his clothes in the dryer. He said, TT, did you wash my clothes last night? I said, yeah, and I put them in the dryer. I said, hey kid, I said, I put your black clothes basket right there in front of the dryer. Excuse me. She's like, I put your basket, I said, like, I put your basket in front of the dryer, it should be there. He's like, it wasn't there, I don't see it. I said, well, go ask your dad in China now. I said, somebody had to seen it. Like if somebody switched laundry, somebody had to take the clothes out the dryer to, switch the laundry. I said, somebody will know. And I'm like, boy, just gone. And I went back to sleep. But he never came back. So I just assumed that he got his clothes and he left with his mom. And I'm telling you, I was asleep. Spirit woke me up. She said, Jackie, that boy is sitting in there at that table. He's crying and he still haven't got his clothes. She said, get up and go get his clothes. And I was like, what? Okay, so I walk out my room. Sure enough, my nephew's sitting at the table crying. So Spirit just already told me this, right? So I already know why he's crying. So I'm just playing the dozen now because I want to see how this is going to play out. So I was like, what's wrong, Stinker Boy? He was like, oh, I still can't find my clothes. Now, mind you, I told you he came in my room at 8 o'clock in the morning. It could have been a little bit before 8. I got up at like around 12 something, 12:30. It was like 12, still in the noonish hours. So it's 4 hours that went by that he didn't have his clothes. I didn't know this. I went back to sleep. So then I was like, what's wrong? He's like, I still haven't found my clothes and I really wanted to leave with my mom. I said, did you ask everybody in the house where your stuff was at? He was like, yeah, everybody said they didn't see it. And then I got mad. I said, you know what? And then soon as I said that, China jumps up off the couch and she started like, she's like, I took his clothes out. I took his clothes out the dryer. And I said, so you couldn't tell him that? I said, you will sit here and let him sit here and cry because he can't find his clothes and you took them out the dryer and you knew where they were at the whole time? And then not as I'm saying that to her, her son come flying out the room with my nephew's clothes basket and all his clothes in it. So I'm like, y'all had this the whole entire time, but y'all would rather sit and make him cry and be miserable. And then that's what Spirit was trying to tell me, that in itself is a humiliation ritual that they're trying to do on my nephew to break his spirit. And then like, I'm just like, what? Hell no. I got your back, cuh. Like, I don't care who or what I gotta say something to. I got you, bruh. You don't have to feel like a stranger in your own house. And then I say stranger in the own house because her son will have friends to come over and then they'll have snacks, right? And they'll be in the refrigerator or freezer, whatever. My nephew will have to go to her and ask her if he can have something, but the friend will walk in like he lives here, open the refrigerator, take what he want, do what he want. So I asked, like, how does he have more free reign in this house and he's just a guest, and then my nephew lives here? And then it was the one time she does stuff on purpose. I don't know if she knew my mom was there or not, but she gave her son a bag of chips. And then so his friend was there. So they took the chips and they split it amongst themselves. She was like, here, go share with your friend. And then so I'm talking to my mom over here in the front room. And I just keep seeing my nephew out the side of my eye. He keeps bumping into the little boy like this, like trying to annoy him. So it was annoying me because I thought he was just doing it for attention because he had company over. So I'm like, Josh, get away from him. I'm like, why is you bumping into him like that? I'm like, leave him alone. Like, stop. And then he was just looking like he was finna cry. And I was like, what is wrong with you? And so I walked over to the table and they got their little snacks and chips and they're sitting and eating it. So I said, oh, so so you got snacks. I think I'm making a video. And I was like, so you got snacks and y'all didn't share? I said, don't even worry about it. I said, just go get my phone. I'll DoorDash you, get anything you want. And my mom was like, and my mom said it louder, because I don't know if she knew my mom was there or not. My mom was like, oh, if she can do that while I'm here, I can just only imagine what happens when I'm not here, right? So my mom was like, you know what? Just go get in the car. I'll take you to the gas station. And then went to the gas station, get whatever you want, kid. Boom, he's happy again. I'm like, when we get home, it may sound messed up, but don't share with them. I said, they sat and watched you cry and they laughing, because that's what caught my attention. They was laughing and he's doing that, like hitting them. And I'm like, that's another humiliation ritual. And it's like they just keep trying him, right? But then I start picking up on it. Then I start saying something. Then when I say something, they'll stop. But then they'll go another way. And then they'll try to lure him. Like, because any other time, they don't want nothing to do with him. Don't play with them or nothing. They do their own thing, which is cool. That's your friend. Because my nephew's homeschooled. So after he gets the snacks or whatever, oh, Josh, you want to play? I said, no, he don't. Like, y'all can go play, though. And then the next time a little boy come over, I think it was like, or something, they wanted ice cream. And my nephew had money. So he's like, oh, I'll buy everybody ice cream. So they was all going for it like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I said, no, you're not. I said, and then I waited to after she said, because she thought she was getting ice cream too. She said, oh, yeah, I want some ice cream too. And so she was like, oh, I'll just take everybody to get ice cream, all the kids. So I waited till they got in the car. And then I told my nephew, don't buy nobody ice cream because I want to see you renege now because you thought that you was finna get some ice cream, like off of his expense. But anyways, but I waited till they went all got in the car because, like I said, usually he can't go, so he excited. But I'm like, yep. And my brother was there this day too, so that's why I wanted to see how she was finna play this. And so when my nephew go get in the car, I said, don't buy nobody else ice cream. I said, you get ice cream for yourself and yourself only. I said, because these friends don't like to share with you. You're not spending your money on them. And then she goes like, oh, well, she don't have money for ice cream. I said, well, my nephew wants ice cream. He's already in the car. And then she comes back magically with ice cream. And I checked his Cash App. She ain't used his stuff. So I'm like, okay, but y'all was going to spend his stuff though. Right? It's so much. But today I was just in the kitchen minding my own business. But like before I even went in the kitchen, I was in here in my bedroom working on my notebook, trying to figure out some more stuff. And Spirit told me to get up and go clean the kitchen. And I was like, oh yeah, I didn't straighten up last night. I was so tired. And she was like, just go straighten up the kitchen. And she was like, take your phone with you and play your music. And I was like, okay. And I know anytime Spirit wants me to like play music, that's to raise my vibrations, to get my frequency up, because something is going to come try to disturb my energy. And sure enough, Spirit was right. So I'm in the kitchen washing dishes. I'm not paying nobody no attention. I let the stuff go. Well, I didn't let it go, but I haven't said anything since the carbon monoxide incident. And then I get on Facebook. I seen she make this big long status about me. And I was like, that's just peculiar. Because what do you call that when you see somebody in the same house and you walk past them like a ghost, like you're scared, but then go make a status? So then yesterday she came. So I opened the door. Like, because I usually sit in my room, my door closed. So I opened my door, like, just in case, like, if she did have something to say. Because like, maybe that status wasn't about me. Because usually people tag people when they're talking about them. I don't know. But anyways. So I opened my door. I said, maybe she has something that she needs to address. Like, how am I wrong when I know what you did? That's why I called the fire department and filed a police report. Duh. And so anyway, she ain't saying nothing. So I was like, okay. She grabbed some stuff and she left because she haven't stayed here since that incident. So I was like, whatever. So my brother been going on the road. I go in the kitchen, I'm washing dishes. They come home with it. She come back with him. They got food, whatever. I don't care that she's in the house. I don't care about that. All I care about is how my nephew is treated. That's it, right? So, so much to the story. What happened? Oh yeah, so I'm in the kitchen. I'm washing dishes, listening to my music. And then you know how like somebody's trying to get your attention. They keep making like little like, I don't even know. But I just kind of looked back because I thought it was like my nephew or one of the kids. I didn't know who came in the kitchen. So I had my back turned. I'm doing this. So then when I turned around, she gonna do like this. Like smile at me like, ha ha, I'm back. And then I was just like, now you got confidence because my brother's back? Is this what this is? And I said, okay. You keep trying to play these head games. That's why I'm finna tell the truth. Because you can't cut my truth because they're all facts. Right? All facts. So I'm like, I started making a video earlier, but I had to redo it because I was on 10. Because I still don't understand how my nephews still don't have clothes. I looked all over this house. And then the last time when I went to go visit a friend in a different state, I come back and then my brother's like, get like a little black trash bag. He's like, oh, China found, here's some clothes she found. I'm like, I'm sure she did. I don't want that. I'm like, if there's anything of my nephew's in there that he has, because when I do my clothes, they go from washer to dryer. Right. And then the one time I went down, I went downstairs to go get my clothes out of the dryer. Somebody had took the dryer, the lint thing out of the dryer. So everything, like all my underwear and socks went into the thing. And then all my clothes was just nasty and lint. And so there's cameras downstairs because there's a thieving problem in his house, unfortunately. Right? So there's cameras downstairs in the laundry room. So I told my brother, like, hey, could you pull up the cameras and see who went down there in the basement messing with my laundry? And he was like, what? I said, somebody did it and da 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 da. So he looks at the camera. So first he sees his girlfriend go down there and she's going through my clothes in the dryer, close it. And then not even that long later, like it was just like minutes later, here comes her son doing the same exact thing. And then so he was like, what was the reason for you going down there when she did? They never gave an answer. And then and it always gets swept under the rug. It don't get talked about no more. Right? But I still got a problem with that because what was your purpose for going down there and touching my stuff? And then every time I do laundry, I always like, if I wear a certain outfit, it's top and bottom. Like, I know what I had on down to the socks, underwear, whatever I wear, right? I'm always coordinating something. So I know what I have. Then I'll go get my clothes out the dryer. I'm missing stuff here, missing stuff here. Then all of a sudden I come back from Ohio and I got a whole bag of clothes. Like, fucking keep it. I don't know what you did with that. I don't want it. Keep it, please. And then, like, another incident. I went to a pumpkin patch and we went and got these little amethyst like crystals. And then I had found this really pretty amethyst that we farmed for. And I was like, oh, I'm going to use this for the cover of my business. I was so excited. Showed everybody it when I came home. Why that month come up missing by before 5 o'clock in the morning. And so at this time, she was the only one that gets up there early to go to work. So I was just like, just not even like thinking like you just stole my stuff. I just asked my brother, like, hey, could you ask her, did she take my, like, move it by accident? Like, maybe she picked it up and looked at it, this, that, and the other. Because when I realized I left my bag on the table out in the dining room, I woke up at 5 o'clock. That's how I knew, like, when nobody else up. She was the only one going for work. Just like how my nephew phone magically ends up in Shorewood, right next to a Burger King, and Spirit's like, she threw that out on the way to work. And I said, I don't even know where she works at. But I'm like, Spirit just keeps telling me stuff. And then I'm just like, okay, this is just too much to ignore. Because I know what I'm seeing with my eyes. And then it's always like the little gaslight and stuff. And then finally, I haven't said a word to this girl in months because I told my brother, until she tells my nephew why she keeps stealing his stuff, why she don't like him, and apologize to him, I don't have nothing else to say to her. So we've been on the no talking, and I've been fine. Because if you don't know me, you cross me, I can look at you like you never existed. And it wouldn't bother me none. So in the midst of us not speaking, so now I go out and I was like, used to play The Sims. And then so her and her son would start walking past me. And then they'll just start whistling really loud. So they'll only do it when they get close to me. And then they'll just keep going. But it was like a cycle, just keep going like this. One would go, here come the other one. And then Spirit told me, like, every time they're walking past you, they're trying to cause like a mental disorientation with you. They're trying to throw you off. So I said something to my brother, of course, swept under the rug. Boom. So Spirit said, when they come by next time and they try to whistle at you, she said, stop them before they whistle. Stand up and just stare at them, and they ain't going to whistle when they walk past. She's like, because a coward and a bully that hides behind magic, they're really scary. That's why they put on a persona until you confront them, and then they crumble. Because now you just shattered their illusion that they're really weak. So she told me, she's like, next time when they come through, you hear them walking, she said, stand up and stare at them. So that's what I did. Got off my Sims and didn't whistle. I hear her son, got up, didn't whistle. I said, here again, got up, didn't whistle. Then they stopped. So now you know that I'm onto you. But this is the type of stuff that she play. And then out of nowhere, like, Spirit told me, like, tell my brother, tell him to stop eating the red foods. First, it was red foods that she made. And I didn't understand because, like I said, did not know. And then finally, like, people really put menstrual blood in food. And then she told me, she was like, she's been making your brother chili mac. Chili mac since they was at my mom's old house. That was the binding thing. And then it was like she was showing like a process to bind somebody, like to trap them inside their spirit. And then the Spirit told me, like, she did that with her. Like, she's done this more than one time. Like, my brother is not her first victim. And her family members confirmed this for me without even telling me that they confirmed this for me. Because Spirit was telling me, like, she did it to her kids' dad or whatever. And then when he found out, he started beating her up. I'll say that. Like, they started getting physical. So then I'm just like, and then she was like, that's what happens. Like, that person, once they realize, like, their spirit's free and that this person bound them, it's just rage. That's why they crash out on them. So I'm just like, wow. So me still having a level of mercy, even though she's doing this stuff. And this is why I keep saying that there is no more mercy, because I have showed mercy. I have shown kindness. I tried being her friend. Nothing works. She won't stop. So now I have to step up and show you something, right? So anyways, Spirit told me, like, she did it to the last dude. So then I'm talking to her cousin, and then he tells me, he was like, yeah. And this is a random conversation. Nothing triggered this or anything. Spirit goes, Yeah, and I mean, I'm sorry, he goes, yeah, family can't even be family no more. Motherfuckers always think they fucking. I said, that was random. I said, my brother say something to you? He was like, nah. And I was like, okay. And he was like, yeah, I had to put my hands and beat up old boy daddy because he kept saying that me and her was doing it and da 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 da. And I'm like, what a freaking coincidence. Because when I was in the shower earlier that day, that's what the spirit was telling me. She kept saying cousins are sleeping with cousins and she just kept saying it. And I'm like, nobody would do that. That's just nasty. And she just kept telling me, like, just because you wouldn't do that, don't mean the next person would. And then I promise you, I'll show the text message. Because I said something to my friend at the time, and I said something to somebody else at the time. I'm like, I don't know how true this is. If it is true, that's nasty. And if it is true, they're so bold because the cousin moved in here too. And then, but I'll just catch them too, talking stuff about my brother, be whispering, both of them. And then the one time I said something, and then I said something to my brother. I don't know what happened with that, but I'm like, yeah, y'all is so bold. But then this video is already 30 minutes long. It's so much, and I haven't even hit the peak. But anyways, just getting down to the bottom of it, she's been putting roots on my brother, trying to mind control him. And then Spirit just kept telling me, like, Jackie, you know the signs. That's why she's like, but you just can't believe it for somebody to actually do this and then to do it to your family and then to just be so bold with it. And she was like, when people, when they, get in their power, first they start experimenting on their close friends and their family just to get their confidence up. And then they go out and they start messing with other people. And then once they get that power and they like it, that control, they start doing that. And then she was like, notice when she cut all her hair off. She said, notice everything that's been happening around the house because it was just crazy, just chaos. It was a crazy place to be. But I'm just like, wow. And she was like, and you notice her hair fell out. And it was falling out. And she was just like, oh, I'm just going to cut my hair. She's like, when a witch lose their power, they lose their hair. Your hair is your power. And that's a telltale sign. That's why most of them will start going bald. And I'm just like, still like, wow, so this is real. And then that last realization for me is when I saw her laughing at my nephew on the phone, just in there cracking up because he was crying. And I was like, you know what? You don't have no love for him. You never hug him. You don't even talk to him. Don't ask him how his day was. You don't care that he don't have clothes. Like, and I'm like, there is no love in this house. And I promise you, since I've lived here with my brother, I just started going in the living room since I found out, learned how to transmute the energy so I don't have to absorb it. Because the living room just felt like a cemetery, just felt like everything is just dead. And I'm just like looking at everybody sitting like, y'all don't feel this? Like, I'm like, it's to the point like I can throw up because it's just so like, that's why I said bad energy stinks. And that's why people, you can cloak it with makeup, but you can smell it and it stink. But like, it's just so much. But I'm making this video just to call her out as a witch, Freemason, Eastern Stars, whatever you want to rep, claim or not claim. I've already dreamed about this and I already saw how this ends for you. And the fact that you just keep going is so bizarre to me.